Last season, Overwatch 2 released the perk system. Some characters have received game-changing abilities through perks. And then there's Lifeweaver. Now, I don't think Lifeweaver's perks are garbage. Some of them can be nice. However, I find them to be a little underwhelming considering his underperforming base kit, and they seem a little lackluster in comparison to other heroes' perks. Overall, Lifeweaver has many design flaws which hinder his performance in the meta. Today, I intend to fix some of those flaws via the perk system. I'm going to unleash Lifeweaver's true power, creating over 40 new perks, as well as reworking some of his existing perks. But before we get started, here's a few things to keep in mind. All numerical changes with an asterisk could be subject to change as needed for balance. All new perks have been designed with the perfect world in mind, one where throwers and trolls don't exist. Thank God. Finally, this video was created to have a mixture of serious reworks for competitive integrity as well as fun ideas for the sake of chaos. Try not to take it too seriously. Let's have some fun. My name is Sireno, a top 500 Mercy and Lifeweaver main. Considering that, I'd like to think of myself as an expert when it comes to these two heroes. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribe. Let's get started. Personally, I would like to utilize perks to create and develop a better niche for Lifeweaver, whether that be improving healing, better utility via Lifegrip, Petal Platform, or Tree of Life, or even a better counter to shield-based heroes. To start off the list, I want to move Lifeweaver's Cleansing Grasp minor perk to his base kit, as I believe Lifegrip should have a cleanse built in for better quality of life. Now that Cleansing Grasp has been moved to his base kit, Lifeweaver will now have an open slot for a new minor perk, which we will replace with Petal Boost in the meantime. Here is Petal Boost. Petal Platform now provides 15% damage boost and 15 healing per second to anyone standing on top. Additionally, I want to make some changes to Life Cycle. Currently, Lifeweaver drops a healing seed upon his death that heals allies for 250 health. I find this perk to be flawed for several reasons. First of all, this perk requires Lifeweaver to be eliminated to even be used, which I find to be boring in regards to skill expression. Additionally, Lifeweaver typically is not even positioned in a way that is efficient for teammates to grab his healing seed anyways. To keep the design of this perk as similar to the original while adding some nuance to Lifeweaver, we will remove the seed's ability to spawn on Lifeweaver's death. Instead, Life Seed will now spawn on an enemy Lifeweaver helps eliminate with his Thornvolley. Additionally, we'll reduce the healing amount from 250 to 50 since Life Seeds will now be easier and less risky to activate. Moving on, as much as I would like to move Lifeweaver's major perks to his minor perks, I'll leave them alone for now, since they both have received buffs in the recent patches. With Lifeweaving improving healing efficiency and Super Bloom providing extra offensive capabilities, I like these perks. However, I think there could be potentially better options waiting to be discovered. And now, for the moment you've been waiting for, the new perks I've designed for Lifeweaver's kit. Perk so strong, Lifeweaver himself will give me a kiss. Perk so strong, Lifeweaver will finally join the ranks of meta heroes in Overwatch. Starting off with quality of life perks. These will improve the overall feeling of Lifeweaver's kit. Flourishing Thorns. Thornvolley damage now contributes to charging Healing Blossom. Bountiful Blossoms. Increases Healing Blossom ammo by 50%. Blossom Boost. Healing Blossoms now provide extra healing over time when charged 75% or more. Radiant Reposition. Lifegrip will now have a reduced cooldown when used on allies above half HP. This will allow Lifeweaver to reposition allies early on in fights without losing his life-saving cooldown. Rest and Recover. Lifegrip will now activate the target's passive heal regeneration. Last on this list, I wanted to rework Lifeweaver's Parting Gift passive. Instead of dropping a heal seed on death, Lifeweaver will now send out one fully charged Healing Blossom to a nearby ally upon his death. Coming up next, we have Playstyle Shifting abilities. These will introduce perks that change how players might approach fights or positioning, rewarding thoughtful or adaptive play. Floral Fiend. Fully charged Healing Blossoms will bounce off allies to damage a nearby enemy for 30% damage. Petal of Plenty. Targets standing on Petal Platform will slowly regenerate ammo. Harmonic Flow. Standing on Petal Platform increases Healing Blossom effectiveness by 20%. Orchid Overdrive. Lifegrip grants targets 50% extra movement speed for 4 seconds. Rejuvenating Grasp. Allies with negative effects cleansed by Lifegrip will receive an additional 100 HP over the next 5 seconds. Serotonin Sapling. Tree of Life will reduce allied cooldowns by 5% for every pulse. Grace Period. Lifeweaver's Petal Platform cooldown will reset when health falls below 25%. Barrier Breaker. Thornvolley now deals increased damage to shields. And Elevated Insight. Targets standing on Petal Platform gain infra sight and can see enhanced enemy outlines within 25 meters. The next category is Healing Perks and Support Synergy, which focus on perks that enhance Lifeweaver's healing potential. Bouncing Blossom. Healing Blossoms will now bounce to a nearby ally for 40% value. Floral Frenzy. Every 5th fully charged Healing Blossom will emit a small AoE burst heal to allies within 5 meters of your target. Emergency Uplift. Petal Platform will now cleanse and heal allies when lifted. Cleansing Dash. Rejuvenating Dash now cleanses Lifeweaver from negative status effects and reloads 15% ammo. Penetrating Blossoms. Healing Blossoms can now travel through barriers, but will heal 40% less when traveling through. Overcharged Bloom. Healing Blossoms can now be charged to 120, but will only store 95 if weapon is swapped. And Dash of Inspiration. Rejuvenating Dash will now heal nearby allies for 25 health. For our next set of perks, we have Petal Platform perks. These will show off the creative potential of Lifeweaver's Petal Platforms with offensive and defensive options. Multi-Petal. Petal Platform now has 2 charges, but they now have less HP and uptime. Petal Barrier. Petal Platform now forms a 150 HP spherical barrier when raised up, similar to a Winston bubble. Painful Platform. Petal Platform will now deal damage to enemies who touch it. Petal Pop. Petal Platform releases an AoE burst of damage and healing when destroyed. And Petal Trap. Enemies lifted by Petal Platform will now be rooted and unable to move for 3 seconds or until the platform is broken. For our next category, we have Lifegrip enhancements and reworks. These will focus on Lifegrip's utility, defensive, and aggressive interactions. Protection Pole. Lifegrip will now be activated when targets use the interact button. Lifegrip will be available to use for 5 seconds, and will heal a target for 15 per second and reduce incoming damage by 10% while active. Healing and damage reduction will end after target chooses to be gripped or after the timer expires. This will allow teammates to choose when they get life gripped, but will still benefit the Lifeweaver player for using his cooldown if the teammate chooses to not be gripped. I also made this a minor perk so that players won't have to adapt their playstyle late game. Getting this perk early on will allow them to adapt easier to this new ability. Biolight Sync. Allies pulled by Lifegrip gain temporary shields for 8 seconds. Death Grip. Lifegrip can now be used on enemies. Pull speed is 50% slower, and the target will be released if enemies break the bubble, which has 250 HP. Barrier of Rejuvenation. Lifegrip will no longer pull teammates. Instead, a bubble will form around your target, healing them for 100 per second. The bubble will last 3 seconds unless broken, and it has 225 HP. Bubble will not provide shields or overhealth to your target. Last up, we have Spike Ball. The barrier formed around life-gripped allies will now be spiky, knocking enemies aside and dealing damage if they're in its path. Coming up next, we have Thornvolley variants. These perks will give Lifeweaver some much needed help with his offensive output. Needle Stick. Thornvolley thorns will now stick into walls and floors for 4 seconds, damaging and slowing enemies that touch them. Thorned Grace. Thornvolley now fires faster and has increased projectile speed. Precision Volley. Thornvolley will now become hit scan, but can no longer headshot enemies. Precision Poison. Thornvolley now poisons enemies, dealing increasing damage over time the more consecutive thorns landed. Explosive Volley. Thornvolley ammo is reduced. Thornvolley thorns will now release small explosions upon sticking to targets or environments. Last up, we have Venomous Volley. Thornvolley thorns inflict a stacking 0.5% heal reduction for each thorn landed for a maximum of 20%. For our final category, we have Tree of Life perks. These perks will upgrade Tree of Life to make it feel extra ultimate worthy. Venomous Grove. Tree of Life now deals an instant 50 damage upon placement and inflicts a stacking poison effect on enemies in its radius, dealing 45 damage per pulse over 3 seconds. Tree of Death. Tree of Life will no longer heal allies, but will instead damage and slow enemies in its radius. Damage numbers will exactly match the healing numbers of this ultimate. Floral Firewall. Tree of Life now emits a brief wave that pushes back enemies when it blossoms. Roots of Immobilization. Enemies who stand in the Tree of Life's radius for more than 5 seconds will be immobilized for the remainder of the tree's duration. Last but not least, Botanist Burst. Tree of Life can now be manually detonated early to release all remaining pulses at once in a mega burst. I made this a minor perk because it costs a perk, ultimate charge, and canceling of the ultimate. And there you have it. Over 40 perks created to enhance Lifeweaver's kit. Which perks were your favorite? Comment down below. And if you have any ideas of your own, I'd love to hear them in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it this far, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you guys enjoyed this style of video, then you'll most likely enjoy my 30+ Mercy perk video, which I'll have linked here. If you want to see me playing live, check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/sirenoboi. Feel free to also check out my other social platforms. I'll have all of my platforms linked below. I appreciate you taking your time to watch this video, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you like this style of video and want me to make perks for another character, comment your suggestion below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!